What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to compare Hutchinson to Thibodeaux. We're going to look at the pros, cons, and then I'll tell you which one of these guys is a no-brainer for the Lions, and I'll show you right now. So first thing I want to do, let's look at Thibodeaux and Hutchinson and just kind of look at the negatives of them, because if you look at the board and the way it's going to fall, it's those two top DNs. There's another DN that's kind of creeping in, but after that, it's offensive tackle, it's secondary, stuff that we don't really need an offensive tackle. We don't really need, you don't really feel good about secondary that high at number 2. So it's one of these two guys kind of seems like the logical choice. So let's first look at Hutchinson and look at maybe some cons that we need to be aware of. So PFF put it out there. One of the big things about Hutchinson is really a one-year wonder. So if you look at him, he is one of the only top defensive ends that's come out here in the last 10 years that wasn't a true junior. So what that means is he didn't excel right away, right? So usually day one with the Bosa brothers or whatever, where it's just like, yup, star in the making. Hutchinson, not till his senior year. Now he had injuries, he had COVID, but still a little bit of a like, man, where's that explosiveness? We should have seen that right away. Whereas Thibodeaux, as a freshman, put up 10 sacks. Freshman All-American, boom, done. You could just tell right away that this guy was going to be a stud. Another thing on Hutchinson, and this is from Pro Football Focus. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Ian Cummings. Hey, the short arms, right? So he's got shorter arms. We've heard that he doesn't have the bend. So his arms are under 33 inches. Okay. And so we really haven't seen that from a D end in a while. And so that's another point of concern. He doesn't have the bend. There's some questions on what else he can do. So if you go back here, another, I think, con is that Hutchinson doesn't have any cons. So the reason I think that's a con is because he doesn't have things to really work on. It's almost like he's tapped out at his abilities right here. So obviously there's more he can work on, more he can do. But if you look through the tape, they're saying there's really not much we can find. So obviously that's a good thing, right? He can do a lot of good things, but he just doesn't jump out athletically, but everything else is there. Let's look at Thibodeaux. Thibodeaux athletically is all there, but in this article by Daniel Jeremiah, he looks like he's goofy. He calls him goofy, calls it weird. So he said teams have some concerns here. It looked like he took some plays off. There were plays here and there that were a little bit of concern. Then he comes to the combine, has a chance to put all that to bed, move on, show I'm all in, I'm all here, and he doesn't do that. Instead, he goes in, does his 40, has a chance to do other positional drills, and just doesn't want to do it. In fact, he actually wants to move over and do some linebacker drills, and they're like, no, just do the defensive end drills, and he just doesn't want to do it. So it's like, man, here's a guy, that's all you're looking for, right? A guy to compete, the grit. That's all our coaches have talked about, compete, grit. And we've got this guy here that doesn't really want to compete, says it's been a long day. So all the measurables are there. We've gone over that plenty of times on this channel, but man, it's just a little goofy, calls it weird that he just wouldn't do some of the things. And there's just some red flags that are popping up. So when I look at it and I think, man, Hutchinson or Thibodeaux, who would I rather have? For me, it's a no-brainer, even if you look at these negatives. I'll go back to this article here where we're looking at the cons from PFF. And this is a big one for me right here. Thibodeaux's weaknesses are obvious, yet also very coachable. Now, who do we know that has a great coaching staff that can coach this guy up? And so you look at here from Pride of Detroit. This is an article that they put out a little bit ago, talks about all the players. Michael Brockers, defensive lineman, says, hey, I love this coaching staff. They give us rest. They give us a nice cadence. They know when to back things off. They know when to coach us. TJ Hawkinson loves Dan Campbell, former tight end. Owiarie, he's talking about Aaron Glenn. Just for the love of the game, and his knowledge is remarkable. So we have coaches in place that can coach Thibodeaux up. So for me, I take the risk, if you will, on the high ceiling, super athletic guy that's going to get into a culture now. I think we can actually say that, a culture now in which the Lions are well coached. Things go well. We know what we're doing. I mean, think of Thibodeaux coming into Patricia, right? He wouldn't have lasted. He would have been like, I'm not doing this. I'm out. Instead, I think he buys into Dan Campbell. I think he comes in, goes with the coaching. The Lions need explosive playmakers. At some point, you have to take a risk, right? At some point, you have to get a guy that can make some plays. Now, I think Hutchinson's going to be a great player, but if he goes one, Thibodeaux is sitting there, I take Thibodeaux, no question. Even if they take an Jaguars take an offensive tackle, I still think I take Thibodeaux because I want that explosiveness, and I think we have a coaching staff in place that is perfect for him. Yes, he does some things that are a little weird, but we've got a coaching staff in place that can make it happen. And now we've got that explosiveness that they can bring out of him. At Oregon, it was weird for him, right? It was been weird for everybody these last couple of years between injuries and COVID. What if he's got this ultra high ceiling that our coaching staff can really bring out? So now we've got a defensive end. Um, now we need a linebacker and safety help. Our offense is looking really good. So boom, that pick right there takes care of that edge rusher that we really haven't had. And then we can address middle linebacker. We can address linebacker. We can address secondary needs, some depth pieces that we need there. And all of a sudden, you've got Aaron Glenn, you've got Dan Campbell. The defense is well coached. We look a lot better than we even did last year, because last year, really, the defense wasn't the problem. I mean, it was 3 and outs the first half of the year that just absolutely killed us. So let me know when you think in the comments. Hutchinson versus Thibodeaux. I think it's a no-brainer. You take Thibodeaux, you go with the explosiveness, you let our coaching staff take care of him, and we should have no problem. So let me know in the comments. And hey, if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe. It'll just give you the latest videos that we put out, and we'll see you on the next one.